All right. Welcome to another episode of Only Comics. I'm Mike. This is Adrian.
Good morning. Good morning.
I don't know why I was looking over here. Everyone's right here. I'm looking. We're already starting off screwed up. Rewind that. We'll start over. Just kidding. Do this. For me, I think this is like our kickoff for the year, Adrian.
Yep.
You know, we did an episode last week. It aired on New Year's Day, right? And fair full transparency, we recorded it the day before, so technically that was still last year's episode.
Sure.
You were remote. You got caught up in the multiverse. You're back now, so we got you back in your rightful seat. So it's for me. This is our 2024 kickoff, Adrian.
Okay. Works for me.
Yep. So now it's been a little bit of a snowy day here, huh?
Yeah,
in New England.
Yeah, just a little bit, but that's okay though. I mean, it wasn't that bad. Little wet, snow, light. Thankfully,
yes.
Because when that stuff gets like above like 3 or 4 inches, dude, it's not even. It just hire somebody to come move the stuff for you.
Exactly. But now we live in New England, so you and I, we understand that this is going to happen this time of year.
Absolutely, to be expected.
Exactly. Now the reason how does this relate to comics? We do have one rule here on the show. Okay, we discuss comics and only comics. That's it. It's like once a week, you and I get together because this show is not about. It's about us, right? We're selfish. We love comics. You and I. We discovered that. We know each other for, over 10 years. And then one day we said, we'll hit record and start recording our conversations.
That's it.
So for us, this is a one time a week where we can carve out, an hour or two, and you and I can just discuss comics and only comics.
That's right.
That's the only rule. And so for you all, it's a good escape for you too, because we all get caught up in everyday life, right? So you get to join us once a week, and this is where, during this time, the only thing will be discussed will be comics. So, if one of your friends comes up and they want to talk to you about the game last night, I just want you to do this. You just put your hand up and you go, only comics. That's all you do. You just only comics, right? But this is the time you can do that. But reason I talk about the snow, Adrian, I have a theory on the snow. Okay, this is a theory on people, right? Okay. So I am he who is right.
Yeah.
We have determined that on this show in the past.
Yep, we've determined that.
So people, they do two things. Now, we get some news that we're going to get a snowstorm, right? Or we're going to get snow.
Right.
People, that turns into a snowstorm. And then everyone and their brother, what do? They run out to the grocery store. Right. They buy eggs. They buy milk, toilet paper, and water. They stock up on it, right? Now, there are some people who don't like to drive in the snow, right? So I understand those individuals, but that's not the majority of people.
Okay.
Then it's the other people, the monkey see, monkey do. Right. It's you're going to get toilet paper, I need to get some too. Now, what does this have to do with comics? A lot and nothing. I think that a lot of people do that with their opinions.
Okay.
They hear one of their friends say, this movie sucks, this got whatever it may be.
I see where you're
They
going.
don't form their own opinions. And they go, yep, that sucks. Yep, that's good. Yep, no, it's not. Whatever it may be.
Right.
Here on Only Comics, one thing that I can guarantee you, Adrian and myself, we will share our opinions, and that's it.
Right.
And we're true to we're not influenced by what the director says. We're not influenced. That's why some people go, oh, you guys have hot takes, or that's insane. That I promise you, if you stay with us for the rest of this show, you're going to hear some stuff that you probably don't agree with, right?
Fair.
We may change our stance. There may be something that I say today that contradicts something I said 3 weeks ago.
Absolutely.
And vice versa, right?
Yep.
But I will promise you this, you'll have fun along the way.
That's it.
So hit the subscribe button now and continue on this journey. So, Adrian, you're back from your multiversal trip. You're back here in Connecticut.
Yep.
We're going to hit... Go ahead.
Strange didn't bring me back, but
it wasn't
Suburban did. So, yeah, it was a good time, and glad to be back in the studio.
Right, and here we are. Now, we're going to kick this off with our news, right? So, I got some news segments here. News, rumors, pretty much everything going on in the comic book world. We tackle all kinds of stuff. Some people have accused us of being a little Marvel heavy, but in fairness, the industry is a little Marvel heavy.
That's
and
true.
The better content is a little Marvel heavy, if you will, right? So now I said, here you go, perfect example. I said a few weeks ago, you agreed with me that Aquaman 2 would not top the Marvels at the box office.
Okay.
We both were wrong.
Really?
Can you believe that?
You know what? The universes that we live in and we flow between.
Yep.
Who knows what's going to happen? I still to this day I have not even had the inclination to go and watch the movie.
No.
I'll probably wait till it comes out on streaming.
Yep.
But and I have not heard anything either.
No.
I mean the information hasn't bubbled up. But I mean, it's kind of surprising, but not really.
Yeah, no. I was surprised that we were wrong. Now we are wrong at some times.
Sure.
But this one kind of caught me off guard. But so Aquaman has officially topped the Marvels at the box office. I think it's up. Let's see, 258 million after 2 weeks. Now, I mean, in fairness, it's still bombing. Like it's going to have to. I think it has to hit like somewhere between 300 and 400 million to even make money back. So it's barely going to break even. So it's still a flop. But our thing was, hey, is it going to flop worse than the Marvels?
Is that number including the marketing?
Yeah.
Really? So 350 plus with marketing, and they will break even.
Yep.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So it's an interesting failure for DC. And now I will say this, though. If they listen to us, because I did say they shouldn't put this movie out, not because Aquaman isn't popular, just because the story means nothing, because this is the last movie of the DCEU.
Right.
And none of this is going to, there's no more Aquaman. Jason Momoa's Aquaman's not going to be in James Gunn's DCU. So what was the point?
Well, I mean, it's entertainment.
Yeah.
It's a filler. Until some other stuff comes out, because really, what's come out this year? The Marvels, now Aquaman, and what was before that? The
Flash.
The movie to not be brought up again. Let's call it that. The movie to not be brought up again, and Nick Fury.
Oh yeah, Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion. So I mean, a couple of 4 or 5 movies that were kind of nonsensical. Actually, all of them, thinking about it.
Blue Beetle.
Blue Beetle.
Was okay.
All right, so I got a question for you. Out of those 5, Secret Invasion, Blue Beetle, you haven't seen Aquaman, so let's leave that out.
Okay. Marvels.
The Marvels, and what was the other one? The Flash.
Flash.
Which of those 4 would you watch again? You're in jail, and you got to watch one of those 4.
Got to watch one to get out.
Yep.
I would, believe it or not, The Flash.
Really?
Yep. Because I just rewatched Blue Beetle.
Okay.
And I like it a lot less after seeing it the second time. No, I do. It was because of the disappointment. It started off so good.
I told you, dude. It's just like it doesn't make any sense.
No.
It's like you say, it started out strong, but then it's like the cave thing. Everybody's a genius.
Yep.
They got all this money all of a sudden. It's like, really?
Yep. That's what did it for. Dude, I watched it with my wife too, she is Mexican, so she loved it for that part of it.
Right.
But dude, halfway through, she's like, the minute the grandma pulled out the big old Gatling gun, she was done.
Right.
And I'm like, you could be on our show, because that was like the thing we said too. Like once that happened, it was just, and then the uncle who all of a sudden he's Tony Stark all of a sudden.
Exactly.
But they're broken, losing their house.
Exactly.
You have all this tech and shit, but you couldn't figure, like, come on, dude.
Right.
But yeah, because of that, I would have to go with the Flash.
He spent all the mortgage money on that truck.
On that truck, yeah, taco he calls it. Now it was funny at times, but at least so the Flash for me, I was going into. It's almost like in the No Way Home. That Spider-Man, the MCU Spider-Man, MJ's very like downer, and she always says expect the worst, right?
Yep.
So I was using MJ's approach with the Flash, and I expected the worst. So they didn't disappoint. There was some pretty bad shit, but for me, the Flash was more entertaining than Blue Beetle because of how I was let down in the middle of it.
I just thought about something. Didn't they just sneak in some more stereotypical shit with they're losing their house, so their focus is obviously the cars, right? Wow. I mean, like with Darby or whatever it was with the grill. I mean, it's crazy.
It is.
Good old Hollywood. Keep on doing that sneaky shit, right?
Yep. Little little jabs, right? So this piece of news, basically, we were wrong. Aquaman still gonna flop. It's gonna hit numbers probably close to like Shazam, I guess, which were pretty bad. That's another one. The second Shazam movie came out, which I still have not seen either one of those.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I haven't seen that either. No. It's like I just can't. Once they made the family thing, it's like really. I mean, it was kind of stupid to begin with. Shazam is like a joke kind of character,
right?
The way they portray him, which is unfortunate because he has a very cool power set.
Yep.
But it's just unfortunate the way they have to portray him.
Well, they made him such a joke that The Rock didn't even want to. He didn't want to play with Shazam with his Black Adam. He's like, no, I don't want nothing to do with that. And in the comics, they go hand in hand.
Right.
So it was such a joke that even The Rock, we've seen some of his movies. Like I love The Rock, but like, come on, dude.
Right.
Anyway,
raise that eyebrow so many times.
Exactly. Patrick Stewart teases a potential Deadpool 3 cameo. And he also had some comments about his cameo in Multiverse of Madness. That's another movie where I rewatched that recently. Starts off very good. Phenomenal. The whole Wanda, Scarlet Witch we get to see and then gets off the rails, dude. Once they start going into the multiverse and all of a sudden, Reed Richards is there and Professor X and like all this happens and they're all dead within minutes. Like it's insane. To the point where like someone watching along, like if they're not paying attention, they would think they're watching a different movie, halfway through. But there's been rumors of Patrick Stewart reprising the Professor X role in Deadpool 3. We talked about that here. And they asked him about it, and his statement was, he said, I have every confidence he's still around. And then about the Deadpool 3 rumor specifically, he says that the rumor, it has come up, there's been a process, but the last 2-3 years have been so difficult with labor problems and health problems, COVID, So he kind of, teased around it.
Right.
Now, we make predictions here sometimes, right? I'm going to predict he's going to show up in this movie, right? Is there any chance you think Patrick Stewart's Professor Xavier is not in Deadpool 3?
I have a prediction that I don't care. Okay. However, the exception is I don't want to see Patrick Stewart again as Professor X. I loved him. I think he is the epitome of a Professor X.
Sure.
I liked him when he first played Professor X.
Yeah.
He's my favorite of all of them. But he's at a point now that you can literally see the toothpicks that they use to hold his eyes open. I mean, with all the makeup, I mean, he looks ancient. Yeah. He was old in Star Trek, right? But he just looks, and I don't like to see that. That's. I'm not saying I don't want to see him because I don't want to see Patrick Stewart. I'm saying that because I don't like to see that weakness. Like I don't like to see the Nick Fury weakness. I don't like to see, the Hulk weakness.
Yeah.
Now, the exceptions are things like, Iron Man and Batman, because you have to show those weaknesses in order to make them appear human.
Correct.
Daredevil, those type of things. But when you see like that old feeble stuff creep in, Michael Keaton, he just shouldn't be Batman, period. Exactly. So, he's old and weak and shouldn't be the person playing the Batman. But I just don't like to see that Patrick Stewart weakness shine through on the screen.
Well, to your point, how old do you think Patrick Stewart is?
200-300 years old. I don't know.
He's close. He's 83.
Oh, okay.
But I mean,
really?
Yeah, 83, dude.
He looks older than that, though, man. I'm serious.
Yeah.
By today's standard of age, and you see how these guys are popping around on bicycles and stuff like that. He just looks. I don't think it's going to be a good look.
But dude, he's elderly. 83. People who are 83 are in nursing homes and whatnot.
Right.
Like, so to your point, I didn't hearing this. I'm like, I'll be kind of cool, but I'm thinking, Patrick Stewart from X-Men back in the day. But you're right, he's 83 now. Right. Even Logan was from 2016, 17 maybe, or I could be screwing that up. But that's the other thing on Only Comics. We are not experts, so there's some shit we may say that may not be 100% accurate, believe it or not. But I mean, even in Logan, he was playing that dying Professor Xavier in Logan, which made sense, right?
Sure.
But now
because he is dying,
right? So
on the screen.
Absolutely. But now you got he's just going to make a cameo. He's not going to be that dying, frail guy again, right? It's who the hell wants to see that again? So now you're going to take a guy who's older than the character was when he played this, story of him dying, and now he's just going to be Professor Xavier. Hey, I'm here.
Right. They have two options. They can CGI him, right? Which things are better today. Right. Or how about this? Get a younger actor.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of bald head dudes out there that can roll around in a wheelchair. Say, there you go. There you go. There you go.
Here.
There's your next Professor X right there. I'm just saying, come on, give the younger generation, the next generation of actors. Stop reprising. We loved them.
Right.
We love them. We loved them at the time that they played the characters, but we also understand that they need to move on.
Yep. Now, I'm going to play a little devil's advocate with you. So now, if they were to do the Multiverse of Madness cameo from from Xavier.
Yep.
He was in the movie for all of maybe 4 minutes, right? I'm sure there was tons of makeup, to your point, all the shit on him to kind of like not really expose his 83-year-oldness, right? Mm-hmm. And then, sorry, I didn't realize you would. So they did a lot to and for y'all that didn't see, Adrian almost choked on. Is you drinking coffee? It was my fault.
Yeah, it's my Marvel cup here, as you can see.
So sometimes we get a little off track. I distracted Adrian. But anyways, they did a lot to cover up his 83-year-oldness, and he was in it just for a short period of time. For me, that feels wasted. Like, why bother?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, now in this Deadpool 3 movie, I'm sure it's another multiverse movie. I'm sure there's going to be quick cameos. So it would make sense that if they are going to have this dude cameo, it's going to be something real short and sweet. Mm-hmm. Now, do you still, like, I don't want to see him at all?
I don't want to see him at all.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had his time. That would be akin to bringing back Cap, after he's aged out.
Sure.
Like, on the film, not even his age in real life, but on the film, he's aged out. He went back in time, would be with his girl, which is cool. He came back, gave the shield over to the wrong person, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Or Robert Downey Jr. coming back after they've killed off, Tony Stark. Sure. It'll be akin to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He's had his time. Let's move on. I mean,
just bring James McAvoy back. If you need a Professor X that's already established for this cameo,
exactly,
just bring his version.
Exactly.
He's younger.
Right. So for some characters, they don't want to bring in other actors, but they got a bazillion Batmans.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever. You know what? As long as Patrick Stewart don't jump out of a flying jet with a cape on,
right.
I mean, it might be okay. I'll just say that.
All right. Okay, MCU rumor. Thunderbolts receive some news about the Thunderbolt. We actually talked about this casting rumor a few months back for a character that you featured in your segment, Hidden Gem, Sentry.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
The actor Steven Yeun, I'm probably saying the name wrong, but he's the guy from Walking Dead.
Yep, Walking Dead, yep.
He actually pulls out of his MCU debut. So he withdrew from the role of Sentry. Mm-hmm. Which I think we both agreed. And now I've not seen Walking Dead's not my thing, so I've never really watched. I've seen a few episodes here and there. I hear this dude's great in there, so I hear he's a great actor. But you and I both felt he don't look like Sentry. Like this is not a good casting.
Right.
So he's withdrew himself from the movie for God knows what reason. But I think this is a good thing.
Well, there is a reason. He heard us talking about it. He's a secret watcher of Only Comics,
of course.
And in our discussion, he created a checklist of like, oh, wow, I don't look the part. I'm not built. I'm not this. I'm not that. So he withdrew at our recommendation. So that's why he did it.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. Yeah, I mean, there's no other plausible reason.
Exactly.
Nothing out there that makes sense more than that.
Absolutely. So. Stay with the voice of Invincible, and you'll be cool. Outside of that, I mean, I wish you luck on whatever the next project is.
Yep.
But Sentry was not the one.
No, not at all, dude. And to learn more about Sentry, check out our Hidden Gem playlist where my man Adrian right here breaks down the character for you all. We actually gave them the idea to include Sentry in the movie because that's what the Hidden Gem's for, right? So,
absolutely.
All right, Echo director. This show's starting soon, dude. A couple days. Mm-hmm. I think it's the 9th so it would be Tuesday tomorrow where they're going to drop I believe all episodes at one time.
Nice.
So I don't know about you, but I'm going to attempt to binge this, man.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so we're if that's the case, now we could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it comes out the 9th. But we're gonna go out on a limb here, Adrian, in front of everyone, and say that if this show drops the 9th, which looking to confirm as we speak,
January
9th. You and I, we're going to binge this week, and we're going to discuss it next week on Only Comics. Okay. And the reason I'm excited about this is the more and more I hear about it, it sounds to be like it came from – it almost sounds like a spawn from the Netflix MCU shows.
Okay.
It's Daredevil's going to be part of it. Kingpin's going to be in the show. It's a TV mature show, MA rating. You actually have to – go in Disney Plus and adjust your settings if you've not. So like that, for me, that's a good thing.
Yes,
absolutely. That means that there's going to be some shit in here that, it's not geared for kids. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that you and I have discussed a lot on here is the fact that with Disney, being the parent company to Marvel now, they soften up a lot of things. They make them more kid friendly. Which comics, there's a lot of stories that are not kid friendly, and the Daredevil stories, Echo, Kingpin, they're not usually kid friendly.
Nope.
So I think this is. I'm looking forward to this. Number one, so we'll be discussing it next week. But there's a lot of cameo. There's some rumors the rumor is a number of cameos from other films and shows will happen in this show, Echo. So we did this with Secret Invasion, Adrian. You and I kind of predicted some of the cameos, and I think we were probably right on all of them, or maybe some. I don't know. But I thought, it would be fun if we threw a few predictions for this show, right? So they're saying a few cameos from MCU movies and shows. So we could see, Adrian, someone like Gaia show up with all her powers. I'm going to say that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, okay? Let's hope that does.
Okay, but that could, right? It could.
Possible.
We could have Darben show up with her grill. You never know.
Right.
Also probably not going to happen.
Probably not.
Now, do you think there's a chance, because a lot of these rumors that we've heard about the MCU moving forward, they talk about Spider-Man being that grounded level hero now. We're going to see some Spider-Man Daredevil interactions. The Daredevil series is almost going to serve as like a ground level Civil War type of. So a lot of probably some of the best rumors we've heard so far.
Okay.
Right. Get away from the multiverse a little bit. Every project doesn't need to be all in the multiverse. Right. And so with that being said, do you think there's a shot that Spider-Man shows up in this show? No,
I don't think so.
Me neither. That was a big build up for nothing. But no, I don't either.
No.
Now, could there be some other characters from other movies? I don't even know who else would be in this though. Spider-Man's the only other character who's interacted with Daredevil so far on screen in the MCU. But I agree. I think I don't see Tom Holland showing up in this.
No.
Now, could they do a CGI version of Spider-Man in the suit in some post-credit type scene? Possibly. Maybe. I
would hope that they don't introduce.
Okay.
Really, let's build up Echo first. The Daredevil is already in there.
Yep.
Let's sprinkle in some villains, some notable B level villains in there somewhere. But we also don't know how they're going to portray Echo. Is she going to be a superhero, supervillain, or like a cat, a cat woman, on the fence kind of a deal?
Because in Hawkeye, she was more of a villain. I think when she was first introduced, and maybe towards the end, I've only seen the show once. It was good. I said I was going to rewatch it this Christmas, but I did not. But I think she kind of leaned more towards anti-hero towards the end.
Okay.
So they could be that portrayal. But I'm sure we're going to get some backstory where she's a villain as well, right?
So what about Hawkeye? Do you think Hawkeye going to show up in this? That would make sense, right?
Which Hawkeye? Clint or Kate Bishop?
Kate Bishop.
I think Kate Bishop will.
Let's retire, Clint.
Yeah. No, Clint, no more Clint. Jeremy Renner, we love you, dude, but hey, no more. Right. No more.
No, it just goes with the trend. They're retiring all these old guys. Not by old guys, I don't mean old people.
Right.
But the classic superheroes, they put so much time and energy into promoting the next superhero, then just bring them out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I think Kate Bishop, I could see her showing up. She was in the Marvels. There was a little cameo there, right?
Right.
I also think Yelena, Black Widow's sister, because she was in the Hawkeye series a lot, and they had a pretty cool fight scene with Echo, so I could see her showing back up.
What about even Miss Marvel showing up? Because of the Hawkeye tie-in at the end of the Marvels.
Yeah.
That could be.
It could be.
That's a big stretch, but.
Yeah, but she's from another Marvel show, right? So I don't think that's a stretch, dude. I wouldn't be surprised. So far, there's a chance that Kate Bishop's Hawkeye shows up.
Right.
Yelena will show up, I believe. And then Ms. Marvel.
Well, what about Power Man? The Punisher? These are all, Netflix people.
Oh, yeah.
Jessica Jones.
I did see a rumor that the actress who played Jessica Jones is rumored to reprise her role at some point. So who knows? Could be in this show.
That would be excellent.
Yeah,
that would be excellent. She killed that role.
Yep. I'm only one episode in, but so far so good. But so there you have it. Our predictions now. If one out of all the ones we mentioned, if you had to bet which one you think is most likely to show up.
So I would probably go with Hawkeye.
Hawkeye?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Yelena.
Okay.
And I would say Hawkeye's probably, and you're saying you're Kate Bishop Hawkeye,
Kate Bishop,
so y'all don't get
Hawkeye.
confused. We ain't talking about my man Clint.
Right.
Stay in retirement with your wife and kids. That way you don't miss Christmas next year, you know?
You know when Hawkeye shows up with sleeves, it's all over for him, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's it, dude. All right. Last piece of news this week. MCU has re-updated its Daredevil canon relationship to It's Complicated is the headline. So, they're doing this Daredevil reboot. And as of right now, the Netflix MCU shows have always taken place in the same timeline, but they've always kind of just left them out there and not really acknowledged them, right? Supposedly, according to the producers of the new Daredevil show, they're saying that the Daredevil show in the past takes place in a sacred timeline. But I'm gonna make a prediction here that when this new show comes out, I don't think that's gonna be true anymore.
Okay.
Because, first of all, there's a lot of characters in the first Daredevil show that won't be in this show. Like the actors that play his partner, Nelson, is not gonna, or Foggy, he's not going to be in here.
Wow.
Karen's not going to be in here.
Wow.
The wife of Kingpin is not going to be. That's the news so far. So for me, that means it's a reboot then. It's not. So right. I believe that the MCU Netflix shows like Daredevil, Punisher, because there was also a rumor recently where MCU came out and said that those shows take place in another timeline, pretty much. They're still in the MCU, but no. So I think that's where and I think they have to do that.
Okay.
Like, because in order to have this Daredevil show start it with kind of free reign and let it do what it's going to do and not worry about stories from the past, I think they kind of have to do that reset. So I think that I don't agree with this piece. I believe that the new Daredevil show will take place in the sacred timeline and the one in the past does not.
Okay.
So, anyway.
No comment on that.
Right.
However, I did just think of another person that would be cool to show up in this Echo is, so what one person crosses Power Man, Iron Fist, Daredevil, and Jessica Jones. The nurse, Claire. Played by Rosario Dawson, right?
Yes.
That would be cool if she showed up in this some kind of way.
That would be.
She seemed to segue, around all, because she's associated with all that's Hell's Kitchens, right?
Right.
Because she's a nurse in Hell's Kitchen. So got introduced in Daredevil on the Netflix.
Yeah.
But she's popped up in all these other things. So it'd just be cool if she showed up.
Yeah, I'd be down with that. I always liked her character in Daredevil.
Yep.
Well, there you have it, the news. We're going to wrap this up with a thumbs up, thumbs down. This is where we just go through the rumors real quick, and we both give it a thumbs up or thumbs down. Really not that deep. That's one thing, too. We're also not that deep here.
Right.
Very simple rules, right? So, Aquaman 2 tops the Marvels at the box office. I'm giving this a thumbs down just because we were wrong.
Right. That and don't care.
And don't care. Patrick Stewart rumored for Deadpool 3 appearance. Ooh, I'm going thumbs down.
Thumbs down.
Steven Yeun drops out of the Sentry role. Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Echo rumored to have cameos from other MCU series and shows. Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Daredevil Netflix considered to be canon in the sacred timeline, but they really don't know, and they're going back and forth, so I'm going to go thumbs down on that.
Thumbs down.
Because just figure it out.
Right, exactly. Come on.
Everything doesn't, for the amount of shit they spoil,
right,
and the stuff that they do remain, just how about let us know that piece?
Right.
Instead of spoiling who the cameo is going to be or whatnot, but... Anyway,
it's like they got this disinformation engine going just to keep themselves relevant. Try to keep the public on their toes.
Yep.
Hey, you know what, dude? We don't really care.
No.
We think about other stuff during the day. We don't need to be pulled in with some garbage that you may or may not do, and just pissing people off.
Absolutely. Well, there you have it. That is our news. Now we're going to get into our segment called Hidden Gem. This is where Adrian introduces you all and myself sometimes to a character that is a hidden gem. It's a gem that we're usually hidden in plain sight a lot of times, right?
Right.
But the theme is normally a character who is popular in the comics but has not been portrayed properly on screen.
Correct.
Right, that's a common theme here. So this week you have an interesting hidden gem here. So let's turn it over to you, Adrian. What we got going on this week?
All right, so this week's hidden gem, we talk a lot about different characters, DC, Marvel, so on and so forth. But there are other definitions of characters, right? So this week's hidden gem is not a person per se in the multiverse. It is a location. It is a city. And it's one of the most infamous cities, that being Gotham City. So this week's hidden gem is Gotham City. And what made this interesting is that, this is a fully developed city in the DC universe.
Right.
We all know that it's the crown city that Batman lives in and he protects. As a matter of fact, the protection of Batman over Gotham is so in depth that other superheroes have to get permission from him in order to operate in his city. Right. We talking about like Green Lantern. We talking about Superman. These guys, when they come into town, they have to let Batman know, or they will hear from Batman himself, which is pretty awesome, right?
He'll whoop that ass.
Right. However, of course, he can just walk into Metropolis whenever he wants to, but he typically goes as Bruce Wayne.
Right.
Right. So, Gotham actually started out, thousands of years ago, apparently. Right. There was some evil warlock buried there. He later became like Dr. Gotham, which kind of started all this stuff. But it was rumored that his essence, when he was buried, his essence seeped into the grounds of what's now Gotham City, which kind of set the whole land up for this whole plight and darkness and everything evil that goes through it, right? And then at some point, it was the territory surrounding this burial spot was inhabited by Native American tribe, Magina, right? Okay. So, which most places in America were inhabited at the point. They were. I don't think they discovered America, but they were just here, right? And other people discovered them afterwards.
They discovered it when someone was already living
exactly,
here. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, Christopher.
So, they inhabited the lands around it, and then some shaman came in, Blackfire, right? He's like the snake oil salesman or whatever. He came in, I can do all this stuff. He basically corrupted the tribe. The tribe tried to get rid of him. And this guy, Blackfire, actually killed the chief, Chief Paleface, right? And then the tribe revolted against this guy. They shot him up with arrows, all that stuff. They didn't really kill him. So they kind of put him in this tomb, and they erected this totem in front of this tomb in order to, alert people of the evil within the tomb. Okay. However, the land was so, because he was there, the land was so, it was once fertile, but, throughout his interactions, it basically spoiled the land and the tribe had to move. Well, unfortunately, 2 days after they got into their journey, right, it was rumored that they were attacked by another tribe and just decimated. Yeah. So everybody from this tribe was just killed. Now, other people say that it was Blackfire himself that actually killed the entire tribe. But either way, they're wiped out. Later on, this Dutch tribe comes in, and fortunately for the tribe, they didn't have the opportunity to discover the location and do what most Europeans did back in those days.
They hand out smallpox,
kill, steal, and destroy. So they came up on this land, and of course ignored the totem. Yeah. Released this Blackfire dude, and they wiped them out as well. So a group of people from the surrounding communities came in later on. I don't know where this 2-day thing came from. Like a bunch of people died, and then 2 days later something else happens. but these guys, these people came in from the surrounding community, and they discovered a bunch of blood all over the place. Basically a bunch of people missing, things still in place, blood everywhere, but no bodies.
Got it.
So these early Dutch settlers got wiped out as well. And throughout the centuries, Gotham developed from this, this fishing place to, small town. The Waynes got in there. They started developing. Of course, passing down their richness and their money and their influence and all this other kind of stuff. And so it became this budding town. And then, like in the 1930s, you get like the early, this place is just ridden with crime. Historically the account is that because of this original evil spirit, in the land, this crime is just happening. They can't get over it.
Gotham's just cursed.
Yeah. So in the 30s, then you see the rise of like the Golden Age, Green Lantern, Black Canary, Justice Society, things like that. Yeah. And then, of course, and it's like Batman. Who people think that Batman was a result of all of the supervillains. And then some people say, well, the supervillains came because Batman existed, right? Yep. So you had this rise of, you had the regular mafia and stuff, and then the mafia was eclipsed by these, super criminals, things like that. And then the Batman comes in, and then of course Batman comes in, and then all the other supervillains and all the other superheroes come in. So this place kind of like eats itself, but also resurrects itself, right? So, they tried to build this, this giant underground railway thing, which failed 2 days later. And that became the home of, the Killer Croc. So they do things that produced a super something, right? Which then produced another super something. So they did some action, super villain, which created a superhero. Yeah. Or they did something, created a superhero, then which created more supervillains. Right. So Gotham City is but if you look at it, it's like, they got parks, they got, development centers. Of course, you got the historic things like the, Batcave, like everybody's living in these things. And there's like so many criminals and superheroes living in this joint. I think there's like a list of like 30 or 40 characters that live in Gotham City alone. Yeah. So I selected this one, as a hidden gem, because it's just so interesting, and it's spun just like any other city that developed in real life. It has a culture, it has a history, it has a birth, it evolves. Interesting note that it's actually below sea level. So in the Batman, the latest movie, when the whole city flooded, it didn't take that much in order to flood the city. Right. Just open up a couple of walls. And then it floods in. So even that itself is part of like that curse. The fact that it's so vulnerable, so delicate, but it spawns all of this stuff. This stuff meaning crime, poverty, but then it's also got all these super villains and all these superheroes, involved in it or around it. Yeah. So I thought it was an interesting character. It's a little different from a superhero with powers, or a supervillain, but I think it's interesting nonetheless because you wonder why Batman is so passionate about it. Right. You wonder why so much crime is happening in it, and it's that history. And I enjoyed actually deep diving into this. And I'll probably do some more cities. Metropolis and Superman probably not that interesting. No, but who knows what happens? Maybe Central City with the Flash. So other future things to come.
I think Metropolis is about as interesting as Superman, which is like
exactly.
We get there's a good chunk of the universe that doesn't agree with us with our whole Superman takes.
That's all right.
I don't dislike him. It's just like you got Batman like up here, and you got Superman like down there.
It's bad when Superman's son. Like his own dad is like number 2 to Batman.
Exactly. Even the dog, bro. His dog, Crypto, would rather play with a Batman toy than a Superman toy. Come on.
That's crazy.
But dude, I when I saw this morning, I was excited because I remember we said this a few weeks ago that like Gotham City is a character in itself. I didn't know the whole demon curse aspect, but it makes a lot more sense now. And I think because of that, because I was going to ask you, of all the different portrayals of Gotham City we've seen in live action, which one do you think portrayed Gotham City the best?
I think the Chris Nolan one did.
Really?
Yeah. I would.
Which one though? Batman Begins when it was CGI, or when he shot it in Chicago with The Dark Knight?
I'm thinking Begins. Like the first and second one was the best, and then the third one they moved to like New York or something, right? But I also like the Gotham in the Batman, the Robert Pattinson one. It just made more sense because typically when DC shoots in the dark, you can't even make out the figure of a person right. against the backdrop, right? Yep. But now they've done a better job with maybe backlighting or some other things. But I would definitely go with like the first and second Nolan Batman, and then the Batman, the latest one with Pattinson.
Yeah, I would go with the Batman. Yep. And then I think my second would be. Like, for me, The Dark Knight, they shot most of it in, like, Chicago, and you can tell. But Batman Begins, I feel like, because it was shot on set and they used some CGI, it was a pretty decent Gotham. Mm-hmm. But I love the Tim Burton Gotham, like the Batman Returns one. Mm-hmm. Because of that, it fits that Art Deco style that you see so much in the comics. So mine would be the Batman and then Batman Returns second. Now, one of the themes usually for Hidden Gem is a character that's not been portrayed properly yet on screen. Mm-hmm. Now, Gotham could be, like, I would say the closest to portraying it properly has been the Batman, but let's see what they do with the next, because it's going to be a trilogy. Right. Let's see, if they can continue that, because hopefully they don't make the Nolan mistake and, go from what works and then just go film it down the street, let's just go to Chicago and film it. Right. So I also love that in both the Tim Burton movies and the Matt Reeves Batman, that it's almost always gloomy in Batman. It's weird, or in Gotham. It's weird when, like, Gotham, it's broad daylight and the sun shining. Like, I know that it's not always gloomy, but that's how it's portrayed in the comics. Right. But I'd love to see, as much as the Batman's grounded, I think if they use that whole Gotham mythology of, the buried demon and all that, it could be a way to bring in some supernatural and not make it too extreme. You know what I mean? Not do the Marvel multiverse shit where you go from, like, ground level to 1800 universes in 14 seconds. Right. So yeah, dude, I think this is a great pick. And there's so many. Thing about Gotham is there's so many iconic characters. There's also so many iconic locations within Gotham. Like, that could be a hidden gem themselves. Right. I mean, Arkham Asylum. Yep. Blackgate. Yep. You have the Iceberg Lounge. Mm-hmm. The Penguins, and then the whole 44 Below, the club underneath. Mm-hmm. Falcone's, his whole operation, his office with that iconic elevator. And you talked about Gotham. Going from that, mob controlled type city to now, supervillain city. Right. And one of the best stories that shows that's A Long Halloween, which we reviewed here. But that's really the main plot, or one of the main plots of that story, is Batman going from fighting street level, criminals to now supervillains like Two-Face and Joker and whatnot. But I mean, Gotham, it plays a major role in that story. Mm-hmm. I mean, the first line of the story is, "I believe in Gotham City," right? Like, so yeah, I think this is great, dude. This is good. And you're right. It Gotham over Metropolis any day of the week.
Right. And it also speaks about doing this deep dive into this character. Is like, we talk about content a lot, right? And how they keep regurgitating, the death and rebirth of Superman and Martha and blah, 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 blah. Uncle Ben.
You said Martha.
But they have, like, what? How many? Like 18 to 20 superheroes in Gotham alone. But they have over 60, or around, definitely over 40 supervillains. Right. That doesn't even include the regular criminals, like the Falcones, things like that. Mm-hmm. So there is so much content just off of this one city alone that they can put out so much more stuff instead of, just regurgitating the same crap that they do all over and over and over again.
Yeah. And I mean, the original Green Lantern's from Gotham. Right. Like, everyone always think, Batman was not the first superhero in Gotham.
Nope. I mean, there were superheroes apparently, decades before Batman came along. But I didn't realize that the Black Canary was back from that day. I'm assuming that there's, like, other Black Canaries. Yeah. Either that or she took some super soldier serum or got, bitten by Dracula, or something's going on. Yeah. Maybe that would be one of my next deep dives, Black Canary.
There you go. That's a good one. See, hey, DC, they're coming around, dude. They have some. You just have to dig a lot deeper with DC. Yeah. I mean, Marvel, like you take 1 foot in the cave and like they're not even really hidden; they're all right there.
Exactly.
But DC, you got to go way in the back, dude.
Yep.
You know. But now this was another great hidden gem. If you like this segment, then check out the hidden gem playlist. Up next, Adrian, we have Agree to Disagree. Okay. This is where the fun starts. Right. This is when I rapid fire 10 of my opinions at you, and you just let me know if you agree or not.
Okay.
The real fun starts though when they let us know, right? Because I mean, you know, we're not undisputed here. We're not, you know, the whole reason we started doing the show is we typically do agree. But now I'm going to start with something. I'm going to kind of double down off of one of my statements last week because I made a statement, and when I said it last week, I said that this movie this moment was one of the dumbest moments. And I think, I mean, you were virtual, and I think you took it as I said it was the dumbest. But I thought about it, and I go, you know what? I think that was a Freudian slip. Okay. I actually am going to double down. So last week I said the Martha moment in Batman vs. Superman was one of the dumbest moments. I'm going to say that it is the dumbest moment in all of superhero movies ever. Do you agree or disagree?
I can't say that it is or is not the dumbest moment, but it's definitely one of the dumbest moments.
All right.
Along with the Thor split. Ooh. Along with Spider-Man dancing in the Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man dancing. But there's also some other stuff that's going on. And the reason I say I can't agree or disagree is because there's so much stuff that goes on. I mean, these writers, they sit back and they just come up with this stuff like Wolverine taking over Peter Parker's body and hooking up with Mary Jane. Yeah. I mean, there's just some creepy stuff too. Or Miss Marvel has a son that the son goes back in time and rapes his mother and impregnates his mother with himself, and she enjoys it.
Sure.
So, I mean...
Well, that's comics.
Right.
So I'm talking live action movies.
Oh, live action?
Is the Martha moment in Batman vs. Superman the dumbest live action comic movie moment of all time?
It's definitely dumb. I'm going to go with the Thor split, though.
Okay.
And... on that list, honorable mention, the Spider-Man dancing on the street.
Okay, so you disagree.
I disagree.
Batman and Superman's fight in Batman vs. Superman is one of the coolest movie moments in live action history.
I agree. Now, one of or the?
No, one of.
Okay.
Yeah, no, not the. The Dark Knight is a better movie than The Matrix.
For what it is, because The Matrix is not a comic movie.
I'm saying better movie, though.
Better movie.
Yep.
Disagree.
All right. Black Adam is a better movie than Batman vs. Superman.
Agree.
Oscar Isaac's Apocalypse in the X-Men is the worst portrayed X-Men villain on screen.
The worst?
Yep.
He's definitely up there. I'm going to go with, yes, agree.
Sophie Turner was miscast as Jean Grey.
Absolutely.
Marvel has not yet properly adapted the Phoenix storyline in live action.
Agree.
Miles would defeat Peter.
Agree.
Captain Marvel would defeat,
Steve Rogers.
MCU's Captain Marvel will defeat Jason Momoa's Aquaman.
Oh, Captain Marvel. For some reason, I'm thinking Captain America.
No.
The MCU's Captain Marvel.
Brie Larson defeats Jason Momoa's Aquaman.
Yes, agree.
DC and Marvel should make more TV, mature, and rated R content.
Absolutely.
There you have it. That's agree to disagree. Now, y'all sound off and let you know. So let's count up the disagrees real quick. You disagreed. So Martha's not the dumbest moment for you. You agree. You think The Matrix is a better movie than The Dark Knight.
Yep.
And then I think that was the only other one. So just those couple. Mm-hmm. Yep. So, and now we're going to save the dumbest moment for later because we're going to do a little deep dive into the Martha moment because maybe it's just me, Adrian. Maybe that moment has traumatized me for life, I think. Mm-hmm. So we'll get into that after our next segment. But, so you are a big Matrix fan and I'm not. So that makes sense. But you're also a huge Dark Knight fan.
Absolutely.
That's why you kind of hesitated. Right. Now, what is it for you that's better about The Matrix, now as a movie, not a comic movie, than The Dark Knight?
The Matrix, when it came out, was kind of a mind altering event.
Yeah.
To have people think about their place in a universe, kind of a deal, and that, you know, we are living in a lie. So it was just profound on that level.
Okay.
Batman is and always has been basically a live action detective movie.
Yeah.
I mean, you can throw some different things into it, but it's no real mind bending concepts.
Got it.
You know, you got a guy in a cape that's going around kicking people's ass in the middle of the night.
Right.
That's that reason.
Gotcha. Okay. Makes sense. The Matrix is on the list. I have a short list of movies that I've tried to watch several times and they all put me to sleep.
Right.
And that's one of them. From the first time I seen it when I was a teenager, I fell asleep in my living room floor watching it with my friends. Like I literally, and I tried watching it again like earlier or last year.
Right.
I cannot do it. Something about it.
Hey, I understand. I did the same thing with Moon Knight and a handful of others. I can't do it.
But you see that on Only Comics, we agree to disagree. We don't get all upset if we don't have the same opinion.
Right.
You guys should practice those same concepts in your day-to-day life, I promise you. Like, up next, we have King of the Comic Movies. We got the Final Four, Adrian.
All right, let's do it.
This is the real Final Four that matters, not the college march. This is the real Final Four right here. So we had what did we have? Like 90-something movies, I think we started with, or 120, somewhere around there. Wow. 128, I think it was. And we boiled it down to the Final Four. And this tournament is a lot like Only Comics. There aren't many rules, and it's not that deep. Okay, we discuss. We take two movies, we put them up against each other, and we just simply decide which movie is the better comic book movie. And if we don't agree, I pull out my Harvey Dent Two-Face coin here, and we just flip a coin. Again, not that deep, right?
Yep.
So, that being said, after all 128 of these movies, we boiled down to Captain America Civil War going up against Avengers Infinity War on one side. And then on the other side, we got The Batman going up against Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So 2 newer movies on one side and 2 movies from about 5 years ago on the other side.
Okay.
So Civil War, we talk about that a lot on this show, and then Infinity War. These are probably my 2 favorite MCU movies.
Wow.
I mean, No Way Home would be up there too, but these are 2 of their best, obviously.
Yep.
Civil War, we got introduction of Spider-Man, Tom Holland Spider-Man, which I think that was a great intro to him in that movie, right?
Yep.
Like, we didn't have to go through the whole origin again. We didn't need to see him get bit by a fucking spider. We understand Spider-Man gets bit by a spider. We got it. We don't need to see it again, right? So they skipped that. It's a little different intro because he meets Tony Stark before he even has his real Spider-Man suit, right? So different from all the other versions. He didn't make his suit himself. Tony gave it to him.
Yep.
But it was a cool intro. And then we also get introduced to T'Challa for the first time in the MCU, which I think that was handled very well.
Yep.
It started with his dad, right? There was a political event. His dad was killed. They tried to pin it on Bucky. It really wasn't. It was Baron Zemo. And then we see T'Challa for the first time. We see T'Challa before we meet Black Panther. And then in one of the scenes where they're chasing down Bucky, we see T'Challa show up because he wants to kill him, right? And him and Cap get into a little fight on the rooftop. Very cool fight scene.
Yep.
And I like that. Actually, you were the first person to really introduce me to Black Panther. Like, really? I knew who he was, like, from just in other comics, but I didn't know the depth. I didn't know his power set. And we were talking once, well before we were doing the show, right around the time the movie came out, and you were telling me about his power set and how basically he is, like, equivalent to a Steve Rogers, like with the herb that he takes is very similar to the soldier serum, right?
Yeah, super soldier
serum. So, I mean, and they showed in it he held his own. Like, Cap didn't just whoop his ass. Like, it was a very, I mean, he was going, tooth and nail fighting with Cap.
He was holding back. Black Panther would destroy Captain. Black Panther would destroy Captain America.
Yeah, I agree. But I get my point is they didn't neuter him on screen, which we sometimes they do,
which we see
all the time. But Cap was which was big because Cap was an established character already, and you got this guy who we're just plopping into the story who's going toe to toe with Cap.
Right.
So and then even when they're running, dude, he's just as fast. Like they're running down the street faster than cars, which is something we only would see Cap do in the past. And here's T'Challa right next to him, and then the whole what I loved about Civil War was they built to this moment for a while. Like Tony and Steve Rogers always had friction since the first Avengers movie, right? And then we saw that kind of just boil over in this movie, and it brought some real life conflict. The running joke of like the Fast and Furious movies, like, dude, when did they ever stop for gas, right? They've been doing these movies for like 20 years. They never ran out of gas, right? And then with these comic book movies, a lot of times, like they have these big battles, they destroy everything, but there's never any repercussions, right?
Right.
They just destroyed New York City, but what are we gonna do? We're gonna put them on T-shirts and sell merch because they're so great. Which we saw kind of, in this movie. We saw the aftermath of that, which I really liked. Did you like when they show that part? Like they lean more towards that realism and bring that into the story. Did you like that aspect of Civil War?
Well, it's nothing that I really thought about, but it is good because that makes the audience connect with the movie.
Right.
It's like, okay, so this thing got destroyed. That makes sense that you see the aftermath. So, yeah.
So we get, we see the big friction between the two, and then each Avenger kind of picks sides. One of, I do think our next tournament, and this will kind of fit us because who determines what cool is? We would. Right. We would the coolest movie moments of all. So it'll be an interesting list for me to put together. Ooh. But I think what my
I'm thinking that'd be hard though, dude, because there's so many.
Yeah,
there's just so many. Like even back when Iron Man coming out the cave with the first Iron Man suit, the blasting. I could probably name 10 just in that one Iron Man movie.
Oh, it'll be a long tournament, dude. I'm gonna use my buddy ChatGPT to help with that one though. So we'll use a little cheat sheet. But I think one of those moments would be the airport scene in Civil War when they're all fighting.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a really cool moment, right? Or the end fight with Cap, Bucky, and Iron Man.
Right.
I mean, when those 2-3 are going at it, so this movie, top tier for me. Mm-hmm. Then on the other side, we have Infinity War.
Yep.
I mean, a lot of great movie.
Mm-hmm.
Also done by the Russo brothers, right? Mm-hmm. That rumor of them coming back, I think.
I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, it would be, right?
Yeah.
What I loved about Infinity War, dude, is it's like a roller coaster ride from the beginning to the end.
Mm-hmm.
That movie, I mean, it starts your first real introduction to Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
They show up on that, Asgardian ship and really just destroy everyone. They kill Loki. Mm-hmm. That fight scene, that's another movie. Hulk and Thanos' fight in the beginning. Dude, Thanos rocks Hulk.
Right.
Just no problem. Throws his ass back down to Earth. Get the fuck out of here. So I think great opening. And it juggled, so many different characters. I mean, and then, and I mean, we could spend 2 hours talking about this movie, but the big moment in this was the snap,
right?
Which Marvel did a good job of kind of hiding that because even in the trailers, they did some shit where they would take a scene and they would remove stones from the gauntlet,
right?
So that you wouldn't know that Thanos got all the stones. Then when you see that scene in the movie, they're all there. So that they did a good job to kind of keep that under wraps, right? Because I think there was a good chunk of us that were thinking, dude, they don't have the balls to do the snap.
Right.
They're not going to do it. DC wouldn't have done it. But
right.
So you get that moment. I mean, a lot of emotion behind that movie. You see, Spider-Man fading away. Tony Stark, we thought he was going to die in there. So great movie. But you got to pick one.
You got to pick one.
So I'll put you on the spot, Adrian. Civil War, Infinity War.
I'm going to go with Civil War.
Okay. Why?
Well, a lot of stuff that you mentioned, like the introduction of the Spider-Man, introduction of T'Challa and the Black Panther, the whole fight scene, it was surreal because we've never really seen superheroes going after superheroes.
Right.
That airport scene was epic.
Yep.
How but they also had the comedy moments with Spider-Man slinging through there, and all of a sudden, where did this person come from? Who is this?
Yep.
Kind of a thing. With Infinity War, it's kind of it's not a space-based movie, but I mean it kind of is.
A lot of it takes place in space.
it's the characters are on a galactic level, and I'm already accustomed to that. So there's not a lot of surprises. The snap, of course, was a surprise, and the people that it affected.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as, I like the grounded based stuff. Yeah. So the Avenger fighting, the fact that, you know, you got two superhero teams, or you got, you know, superheroes taking sides and fighting each other, to me was epic. I've never seen that.
Right.
But in versus, you know, what happened with Infinity War, it made sense that those things would happen.
Yeah.
You know, Thanos is a tyrant. That's what he does. So that wasn't really surprising, and he has the power to do it. So, you know, whooping Hulk's ass and Thor and killing Loki and all this other kind of stuff. Those are the kind of things that make Thanos. I'm accustomed to that. So there wasn't really a lot of surprises to me.
Got it. Okay.
Other than the snap, but pretty much everything in Civil War was a surprise. Shocking, funny, surprising, all that stuff. So it more range of emotions. I think a little better cinematography.
Okay.
So it just and grounded. Right. So that's why I'm choosing that.
Yeah. It's a tough choice because, like, I mean, if whatever one, and I've probably changed my thought 12 times since we've been doing it. Right. But whatever one I'm picking, the other one's going to be, like, right.
Exactly.
Like, it's safe to say both these movies are better movies than Endgame.
Right.
Endgame Endgame probably has the top moment ever at the end, but as movie as a whole, both of these are better movies.
Yep.
And I think I'm gonna go Infinity War.
Okay.
I think that and we'll flip a coin. We'll let Harvey decide for us. And I'm not mad either way because again these are both great. But a couple other things I loved about Infinity War. I love the intro and not the intro because they were already established, but I love the use of the Guardians in this movie.
Okay.
I thought their interactions with Thor were phenomenal. I thought, Peter Quill and Thor going back and forth was really great. Yep. Kind of to your same statements of like Spider-Man's comedy in the airport scene, it fit because Spider-Man's new to this, so he's not. The conflict's not that personal to him. Right. He's just trying to impress Tony Stark. So he's going to be funny, right?
Right.
Like, Tony wasn't as funny as he normally was because this is a very personal deal, right? But I think Thor and, the Guardians' interactions kind of fit that same tune. They were funny enough, right? And then Thor getting his redemption. Like, I think this was peak Thor. He had his hammer crushed by his sister in Ragnarok, lost Asgard, right? Now he's leaving. He's kind of the king of Asgard. No weapon, no nothing, and he gets Stormbreaker, which is a really cool scene.
Right.
And when him coming down to Wakanda with the Stormbreaker and just slashing, that's another epic scene.
Right.
And the snap, I was shocked by the snap. So I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go Infinity War. I mean, it's literally right. Neck and neck.
Right.
So we're going to flip, dude.
All right.
So call it in the air, Adrian.
All right. Tails
it is. All right. Civil War moves on. And I'm not mad at that. Right. I'm kind of, I'm glad the coin decided and not me. So Civil War is moving on. Next, we have The Batman versus Into the Spider-Verse. This, I already know my choice. This one's not hard. But now I will say The Batman is is my favorite Batman movie to date now.
Okay.
I love the universe. I love we talked about Gotham earlier. I love that. I love for me, Matt Reeves, and because I think he was the writer too on this, he understands the Batman character better than any other director that has directed a Batman movie, in my opinion.
Okay.
I think that Christopher Nolan made great movies, but I wouldn't say they were great Batman movies. They were just great movies. Like The Dark Knight is a great crime thriller, but it's a crime thriller that happens to have Batman in it for me.
Okay. This
movie is a Batman movie. We get to see Batman on screen for most of the movie. He doesn't just show up for action, right? We see less of the Bruce Wayne. I mean, I love the ground love, just like you were talking about the groundedness of Civil War. I love the groundedness of this movie. I like that we're dealing with the Falcons and we don't have any supervillains yet because that's cool to see. I like that it's not an origin. I like that it's a year 2 story.
Right.
The cinematography, like you mentioned, how it's dark, but it's dark, but it's vivid.
Right.
There's probably a good way to explain it. It is dark.
I like that.
But it's very vivid. And a lot of it has to do with the LED backdrop they had instead of, there's no green screen. They did the LED backdrop.
Okay.
Similar to the Mandalorian setup. So I think that had a lot to do with it. But then it's going up against Across the Spider-Verse, which I said last week is the greatest Spider-Man movie of all time right now. I rewatched this recently, and I think I like it even more every time I watch it. This movie is just, and it's not a live action; it's an animated movie. But the whole style, the whole the music behind it, the way the backgrounds, and we talked about this in our deep dive here, the way the backgrounds change, the way all the different universes look, and then the story itself. There's a lot of emotion behind that story. There's a lot of, Miles' journey has been great through these first two movies. I hope they, I think they will kill it with the third one in a good way. But so these two, I'm going to go Across the Spider-Verse.
Right. I agree. Across the Spider-Verse would be my pick. And like we discussed in the past, I mean, Across the Spider-Verse kind of did for animation what the Matrix did for just, a mind bend kind of a deal, right? So, the Batman, I do. I mean, it's cool. It's very tactile. I like the fact that they showed like his journal. I just hope nobody finds it, right?
Yeah.
I like the Batmobile because the Batmobile looks like something that a guy with a garage would build.
Right.
I like the Penguin in this one. So there was a lot of I like the whole the Selena the best scene in it for me was Selena Kyle slinking out of her apartment onto the street.
Yeah.
Not because it was just a sexy scene, but also because a lot of the scenes they do, like in Blade, right? Like I think it was the third one where they had the vampires come in. They wanted to, or the second one where they wanted to have him help them go and kill this new version of vampire.
Yeah.
They show him like, flipping through the ceiling and all that stuff. And you could tell that it was like almost stop animation kind of a deal. It was jagged, it was rough. But to see this Selena Kyle slink out of her apartment, it made sense because that's what Catwoman does.
Right.
So that was a cool scene. But
it looked like a comic panel. It looked like something you saw in comics.
Exactly.
Like, her getting and then doing some backflip down a fire escape.
Exactly. So, but with all that, Across the Spider-Verse was just a phenomenal movie. It did what it did. It broke a bunch of records and stuff, and it's so well done that you can't even compare it anymore. You can't say it's not a live action movie anymore.
Right. Yeah.
it just erased these boundaries between what we consider live action and animation. And I think they did a phenomenal job. So definitely I'm going with Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, it was included in this tournament and beat all these other movies, and there was no is it a better animated? It's just is it a better movie?
Right.
It's just regardless of animated or not, it's a better movie than most other comic book movies.
Right. And to me, it was such a good movie. It's like unlike the other categories, unlike the Civil War versus the Infinity War, it was like to me it wasn't even close.
No, not at all.
It was just this was the easiest decision out of all the different categories that we've done.
And Ian, this is from someone who absolutely loves the Batman movie.
Right.
Like that, I said that's my top Batman movie of all. Even as much as I loved The Dark Knight when it came out and Batman Returns back in the day, that's my number one. But this movie, you're right. I didn't even think twice about this, and not the spot. I know my answer for next week already. But that's a movie that I do not get tired of rewatching.
Right.
Every time I watch it, I get more out of it.
Yep.
I'm looking at different things. I mean, the music, the style, the graphics, the backgrounds, the acting, the voice acting.
Right.
I mean, because that's a big part of animated movies too. Is just like acting is in live action. Your voice actors have to be good. They have to be able to portray that emotion, and they did that.
Right. Just like part of your experience with food is most people think about the taste.
Right.
But a lot of that is also smell.
Yeah, most of it is the smell, yeah.
Right. So just like with movies, a lot of the what you get out of the movies isn't just, what you see. It's also what you hear. So definitely a lot, shout out to the voice actors,
yeah,
in this movie as well.
Absolutely. So there you have it. The Final Four is done. Next week, the grand finale, Captain America: Civil War, going up against Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So hey, let us know before we give you the real answer that matters, ours. But let us know what you guys think. Spider-Man Across Spider-Verse versus Civil War. Or hey, did we get the Final Four wrong?
Right.
Would you say Infinity? Well, the coin determined that, but I don't dispute that. So what would you have said about the Final Four, and what do you predict for the finale? We'll give you our answer next week. Last piece of business today, Adrian, and I think you answered part of my question already, because last week when I said that the Martha moment, it's even hard for me to say. It's like I'm literally traumatized. I got a story to tell you about that in a minute. But the Martha moment in Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, as they call it, for me is the dumbest comic book movie in all live action movies ever.
Comic book movie or moment?
Comic book movie moment.
Gotcha.
Comic book movie moment. Good correction. So the Martha moment in Batman vs. Superman is the dumbest comic book movie moment in live action movies for me of all time. And then you said it wasn't the dumbest, and I didn't put you on the spot because there's a lot of movies. So I said next week come in and tell me what movie moment's dumber. And I think you answered the question earlier and said the Thor split.
Right.
Okay. What before, and we're going to talk more about the Martha, but just real quick, why is the Thor movie moment so dumb for you?
Well,
or the split?
As I sit here and marinate on it, I mean, the Thor movie, the Thor split moment was dumb in the fact that it just should not have been done.
Yeah.
Period. It's just everything about it. I mean, I'm trying to talk, but I'm also trying to keep myself from throwing up in my mouth.
Yeah.
At the same time, just thinking about it. But it was just wrong for all the wrong reasons.
Right.
Now, but the Superman Batman moment, considering what was happening at the time, Batman. So first of all, this is the first time we see like Batman just taking people out,
dude.
Right? You go from guns aren't my thing to he's got Gatling guns on the Batmobile. He's pulling cars.
Like,
of
who
people.
is this character?
Exactly. He's pulling cars of people into exploding stuff. He is dead set on taking out Superman. The kryptonite, the machine guns, the flamethrowers. I mean, something is going to work, and he's going all in. And he goes from that to Martha. Who's Martha?
Yep.
So thinking about it,
yeah,
I would say I agree with you.
Okay.
The dumbest movie moment because of what was happening.
Yeah. So I rewatched this. Well, I attempted to rewatch this movie this past week. I watched about 80% of it, and I haven't finished it. And starting off the movie, I didn't pick this up the first few times I watched it, but the Martha moment is kind of foreshadowed. So there's now this movie, and a lot of stuff you said I'm going to touch on because those are mostly my issues with this movie. This movie starts off with Batman's origin in the credits, which I thought was better than having to go through the whole thing again. And it was shot very the cinematography behind it was really cool. But in the scene where Joe Chill or whoever he's called in this version is shooting Thomas Wayne, Martha, he takes the gun and kind of sticks it underneath her pearls for some reason because he's going to be really artistic as he's killing people.
Right.
And then he fires the gun and the gun the hammer pulls back and it breaks the pearls. But as he does that, so in this version, Martha's shot first or killed first. Right. And you hear Thomas Wayne, Martha. So it's foreshadowed from the beginning of the movie. Right. So when I heard that, rewatching this, I also had to stop myself from throwing up in my mouth because I'm like, oh shit, there already. I thought I was gonna have to build up for the stupidity, but I'm like, fuck, it's right there already.
Right.
And then we see that the whole plot. What's funny about this movie too is it came out in 2016, the same year as Civil War, and it kind of has very similar plot points, right? So. In Civil War, it's all about the Avengers destroying everything and the government's trying to step in and kind of have some order, right? Well, this movie takes place after Man of Steel. Superman's fighting General Zod in Metropolis, destroying buildings, killing hundreds of people, right? And then we see that while this is taking place, Bruce Wayne's actually there, right? He's witnessing this because he has a building in Metropolis in the storyline, and he's out there saving people in his Bruce Wayne clothes because you can't be Batman in Metropolis, I guess.
And what was he driving around in? Definitely not the Batmobile.
Yeah, what was
it? Was
that?
Like I think it was like a little Jeep, one of those like $15,000 Jeeps or something. Just weird.
Yep, yeah. Bruce Wayne, like, wouldn't he be in like a Land Rover or something, dude? A G-Wagon or some shit? But anyway, yeah, so he's driving the Honda Civic around Metropolis for some reason. But he sees this destruction, and he sees some people die. He sees the guy who is paralyzed right in front of him because the shit's falling on him. Yep. He saves a little girl whose mom's in the building, so he's thinking about his parents killed. So it's set up pretty good. Sure, like, okay. Sure.
Besides, his entire staff got wiped out, pretty much.
Yeah, his whole staff, his whole building, all of his employees are. So this is very personal for him. He's pissed. But then this is where we get off the rails pretty quickly, because we know that Batman, for the better part of the comics, I mean, I'm not talking Golden Age stuff, but like the actual Batman character we all know and love has a no-kill rule. It's part of what makes him who he is as a character. Right. It gives you that conflict till you love him, and sometimes he drives you crazy. But you have to respect someone who has these moral views that won't back down.
Right. I mean, besides, he'll kick the shit out of you, put you in a coma, pretty much maim you, and, all this other kind of stuff. But not going to kill you.
He ain't gonna go that far. No, yeah, he'll make you. I guess his plan is to make you think twice about ever doing it again, but give you that second chance, right? So, anyway. But so this movie ignores all that. Oh, yeah. The minute he sees this stuff with Superman, he's basically like, I need to kill Superman. Right. Like, this movie starts with Batman going, I'm going to kill that motherfucker. Right. Which never happens. Right. And then, like most Superman stories, someone finds kryptonite, right? That happens. So Batman finds a kryptonite. And in doing this, he's stealing kryptonite from some of Lex Luthor's minions, pretty much, on this pretty cool car chase scene. But dude, this is the problem with this movie. I'm such a Batman fan. I guess if you're not a Batman fan, this movie's probably great for you.
Sure.
But I am such a Batman fan that I know all these Batman rules. So when I see him driving, chasing these Dodge cars at high speed in his tank, blowing up cars, like, dude, he's hitting cars and then they go tumbling and they explode. Right. Everybody's dead in the car, right? Like, there's no confusion there.
Nope.
So he's mad at Superman for killing the innocent people that he killed while fighting General Zod. So what he's going to do to get back at him is he's going to kill other people while he's trying to get the weapon so he can actually kill Superman too.
which he doesn't do. So, I mean, that's typical of his ability to focus.
Yeah.
I'm going to do whatever I need to do in order to meet my objective.
Right.
So let's wipe out a couple of criminals, no problem.
Right.
Just, few $1 million in, public property destruction. No problem. So, I mean, he was just focused.
Right.
But still didn't, finish the job.
No. And then there's a whole subplot of Batman branding criminals.
Right.
To show people in jail that their crimes were so bad that they should be killed.
Right.
Dude, like, that's so not bad. That's like some Punisher type shit.
That's not even Punisher. That's some sadistic. He pulled a page from Joker on that one. Yeah. Branding. I even felt some kind of way about that. I'd rather they just, he just kill people than to brand them, which they addressed, in the movie. Yeah. Like, this is like some sadistic stuff here. This dude is off the rails.
Right. So all that being said, and then, his main focus in this movie is, I'm going to kill Superman. He gets the kryptonite. He does all the training. He comes up with all these different kryptonite weapons, the grenades that explode with the mist, and then the big spear and all this good shit. And, we get to see, which I said earlier, probably one of the coolest comic movie moments, Batman, Superman fighting on screen. Right. It looks a lot like the Dark Knight Returns fight, like the Frank Miller comic. Batman has a suit there. They took a lot from that. Right. I thought it was done very well. Yep. I really like, from a casting standpoint, this movie is what I don't understand. You have Henry Cavill, great Superman, right? Looks the part. Ben Affleck looks more Bruce Wayne than most Bruce Waynes in comic. Like, it's perfect casting. Right. And then you have Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor?
Dude, and then not only him, that person, that actor playing Lex Luthor. Then I think he tried to make this Lex Luthor like the Joker.
Yeah.
And Lex Luthor has never ever been portrayed as a like a schizophrenic, like undisciplined maniac. He's matter of fact, his thing is to portray himself at all times as being in control and smarter than the next person around anybody around him.
Yep.
So I didn't like this portrayal at all. I mean, he's basically like a rabbit chipmunk.
Yep.
You know, where he was like stuttering and it was just weird, dude. Yep. I didn't.
Horrible.
Disgusting.
And what's crazy is in a movie with so many other good casting. I mean, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman.
Right.
Perfect.
Right.
Like great casting. Mm-hmm. Even I didn't dislike Jeremy Irons as Alfred. I thought he was okay. I thought he was better than my man in the new one, Andy Serkis as Alfred.
Yeah. I mean, this guy, Jeremy Irons, was not an Alfred that I really thought about, which means that he's what's the word? Mid.
Yeah.
So he didn't sway me one way or the other.
Yeah.
The best Alfred for me was in the old, like the 60s Alfred.
Okay, the Adam West one. Yeah.
Yeah. I liked him better than all of them.
I really like Michael Caine's from the Nolans. I liked his. You didn't like him?
No, not so much.
Yeah.
Because Michael Caine is he's kind of overbearing. I think he was the wrong person for that character because of his stature in movies. You know what I'm saying? In other words, he reduced himself. He neutered himself in order to play Alfred.
I see what you're saying.
But the last guy, definitely not the Alfred. No,
he don't fit.
It's like a bulldog playing a what are them show dogs? Like a
poodle.
Like a poodle.
Yeah.
It's like a bulldog or a Rottweiler playing like a poodle role. Yeah. It just didn't fit.
Yep. No, I didn't like that. But yeah, I didn't get the Lex Luthor casting at all, or the portrayal of it. Because I mean, it's not even just the casting. Jesse Eisenberg's a good actor. He didn't have to portray it that way. Like, how did that even happen? Why was that allowed? But all that being said, and everything we just talked about, Batman's a murderous hero, I guess, in this. And he lures Superman in. They fight because Superman told him, like, the Bat's dead. No more, like, the light goes on, don't show up, bro. No more.
Right.
So this, we know this is going to happen. They get into this fight, and Batman is kicking his ass.
Right.
Once he shoots that arrow or bullet that he catches explodes, Batman starts fucking teeing off on. This is a really cool scene.
Right. No, Batman would have won in that one.
Absolutely.
And this is, I think we probably had a discussion about it, who would win. It's like with preparation, Batman will dominate pretty much anybody.
Yep.
Definitely Superman can snap his neck and it's all over with. But again, you got those mental stops.
Absolutely.
Right. So, but this proved that why Batman is number one, Superman is 100%. Number two.
Yep. So there you have it. More problems being solved here on Only Comics. But this murderous Batman, he's got Superman on the edge, dude. He grabs him. He has something like tied around him. He swings him around and destroys the whole whatever shit they're fighting and hits him with the kitchen sink, or not a kitchen sink, but a sink. And then he's got the spear, and he cuts his face to show that he can bleed, right? Going back to the statement earlier, he asked,
can you bleed?
Yeah, can you bleed? Can you bleed? You will. Like, and then he's about to kill him. And all of a sudden, dude, Superman's like, he's getting choked. You save Martha. And then he stops.
Right.
And he's like, why'd you say that name? Why? Like, it's almost like it's a parody. Right. Like some shit you see on Saturday Night Live. My man wants to kill this motherfucker.
Right.
And he goes, you got to save Martha. Now, mind you, Batman's mother, Martha, died like 30 years ago now, right? So, but that struck such a chord with Batman because he now, instead of killing this guy, he needed to find out why he said the name Martha. And he stops. Now, here also why I say this is so dumb. You have Lois Lane come running in minutes later saying, all Batman was saying while Lois Lane was running in was, why'd you say that name? Why'd you say that name? Okay. Lois Lane did not hear the name that he said. She shows up and goes, he said that because it's his mother. How the fuck do you know that? You weren't even in the building when he said it. More stupidity. And that's probably not as big as, but my biggest issue is this dilemma or this Superman problem was so bad, so personal for Batman that it turned him into a murderous killer.
Right.
And the only thing we had to do to get him to stop was he said he had a mom named Martha too.
Well, that kind of tells you the depth of Batman's psychosis, because the thing that fuels him all the time is the loss of his parents.
Right.
I mean, he could hear. I mean, anybody could probably whisper Martha, and he would just, just stop and
that's his kryptonite.
Become paralyzed. Right. That's his kryptonite. So in that sense, it kind of makes sense. But I'm thinking that he's thinking that why would this alien utter the name Martha?
Right.
So I can kind of understand why he did it, as the way the movie portrayed it. But it's still, that's kind of a stupid moment.
Yeah.
I mean, you got all this energy, you got all this investment of time, resources wrapped up into like wiping this dude out. Mm-hmm. And it's not like this is like early Superman, so it's not like anybody would like really miss him,
right? Kind
of deal. You got all this intention to go after this dude, and then Martha, and it's done. It's done.
And now you no longer want to kill him. Like I understand. Okay, you want to save his mom, but like your conflict is with this guy. Mm-hmm. All those people that you killed on your way to get the kryptonite also had mothers.
Yep.
Right. Like, so why would that? But to your point, I think I understand the writer's reasoning for this moment and how they would attempt to justify it with exactly what you said. He's so traumatized by his parents' death that just the name Martha would get him to, stop and think. And then now knowing that this guy's mother's, about to be killed would, make him want to prevent another mother being killed in Gotham. Sure. But that's all true unless he's on a murderous mission himself. Like that's not going to get him to stop, I don't think.
I agree. It's like what should have happened was, why did you say Martha? Well, Martha's his mother's Martha too. And then, and then killed him anyway.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, what's the value? Like you said, he just killed all these people trying to get this kryptonite. What is some female to him?
Right.
Nothing. It should have been nothing.
Yep.
That's cool that we had the same mother's name, but you're dead.
Right. Because I came here to kill you in the beginning. Like, so the issue stems from, number one, making Batman a killer in this movie. Right. Because now you want to make him a killer and then stop him from killing.
Exactly.
And that is a problem that you can't solve in a movie.
Right.
And I think that's what they did. They backed themselves into a corner. Right. All because they wanted to give us this cool Batman versus Superman fight, which it was cool, but it wasn't worth it. It then ruins it with that ending.
Right. They could have did like a Civil War kind of a conflict where they have a beef about policy.
Yep.
Or something else that was a main issue in their mind. Not about something so silly as the fact that we share the same, because how many people on the planet have the same mother's name or father's name or the daughter's the name of the same, whatever it is. They should have come up with some other kind of conflict other than let me just try to kill this guy, or fight about something other than, basically Superman, this alien destroyed, Metropolis, which isn't even Gotham.
Exactly.
So they should have came up with a reason for another fight, and they should have came up with something that sticks with both Batman and Superman's character, which is the not kill, no gun kind of a thing. So it was cool with, the fight scenes, right? But the outcome and the reasoning just didn't make sense.
No, stupid. And it's why one thing I don't think the Martha moment is the reason why there's no more DCEU, but it's also movies like this are the reason why this shit didn't work.
Right.
I it's impressive to me, honestly, what they had. Warner Brothers, they had the Holy Trinity, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman at their disposal.
Right.
Marvel had freaking Iron Man, Hulk, who they screwed up on screen prior to,
right?
Captain America, who he wasn't anyone's favorite. Maybe They couldn't use X-Men or Spider-Man at the time,
right?
And they knocked it out of the park with the Avengers,
right?
Warner Brothers had Batman and Superman. Superman's like the first superhero. Batman's like the second. Two of the most popular of all time. Right. Wonder Woman, and they fumbled that shit.
Well, that's what they do.
That's what they do. That's what they do.
But in back to like the killing stuff. I mean, when Lex Luthor set up the cripple dude, the ex-security guy, right? I mean, he blew up a whole building of people.
Right.
I mean, so killing was in this movie. But they stopped because it was, number one, about to take out number two.
Yep.
And that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
You know, so don't even set yourself up for that kind of decision. You know, the whole one killing the other one. Just have them fight. They could have had a very spectacular fight, you know, like the Civil War kind of a fight, over something other than what they fought about.
They could have kept a lot of the same plot in line. And to your point of you're leaning on Civil War anyways. Why not have a storyline where the government wants Superman to be under their control? Right. Where, hey, we're cool with you, but we want some regulations put in. And Batman goes, yeah, I'll help you capture him. Right. I mean, why not? In the story, there's comics where Superman works for the government.
Right. Exactly. Or Superman is, you know, in favor of working with the government, and goes after Batman because he's a menace now for whatever reason, right? Yep. You can still have the Batman chasing the criminal scene to get the kryptonite. Yeah. Just don't
blow everyone
just
up.
Don't blow everybody up, and you know the machine guns and all this other kind of stuff.
Right.
So you, like you said, you could have still had a lot of the same elements, just a different, you know, reasoning.
Right.
You know.
No, it's actually as a Batman fan, it's sad how bad WB and DC EU screwed this up. Like the casting of Ben Affleck was on point. I mean, even we talking about Gotham earlier. Gotham looked pretty cool in this movie. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't, you know, the best, but it was pretty good. I mean, it was dark. I kind of, you know, I liked how Batman and Metropolis were very close in this because it fit the story. It kind of made sense there. Yeah. But they had a lot going for them, and it's almost like they just didn't know what to do with these characters. Right. They try to do too much.
Like you said, they painted themselves in a corner, and they had a stupid moment to get them out of it. It's as simple as that.
So after all this is said and done, Adrian, you now agree that are we saying that the Martha moment is the dumbest moment in all of live action comic book movie history?
I'm not going to say that it is the stupidest moment in all of live action comic history. Yep. What I will say is, it is the stupidest moment in all the live action movies that I have experienced and seen.
Perfect.
So I'll go with that one.
All right. Wow. So this is my point earlier. Sometimes we come around, right?
Sometimes we come around. Hey, we change our minds.
Yep. Last week Adrian said no. This week, actually, even half of this show you weren't sure yet.
It was just that Thor split thing was just killing me, man. I still can't stomach it.
That has a special place in your heart.
It does. It does.
So I mean that one's definitely up there. That'd be fun too. Come with a list of dumbest moments. That'd be a long fucking list, dude. Yeah. Holy shit. Well, there you have it. So if you like what we did here today, hit subscribe button. If you're not already, hit the little notification button so you know when we drop new videos, because we're not going anywhere. This is going to be a big year for Only Comics.
Absolutely.
This is like our year one, okay? That was like the prequel last year.
Right.
But now
we don't have the Batman year 2 journal yet.
No, we don't.
But we get into it.
And we don't have to do an origin story again. We don't have to reboot or anything like that.
No.
Nope. But we appreciate you guys joining us for the ride. Adrian, thanks for coming in. Thanks for joining us back from your multiversal trip.
Always. Oh,
we didn't see you there. Do that again.
What?
There we go.
Okay. Right. Well, always.
But it was fun as always. And I mean, really the main reason we do this and why we'll continue to do this is it's a nice release, right? We all, I don't know about all, but most of us probably work jobs, have families, a lot that goes on. And it's nice to take an hour or two once a week and not worry about that and just talk about comics and Only Comics. Yeah. So we'll continue to do this. Hopefully for you guys, it's that same outlet. It's meant to be fun. If you don't like our opinions, cool. If it bothers you that much, don't watch us. That's cool too. There's plenty of people out there. I'm looking for people that like this type of stuff.
Right.
If you don't, this ain't for you. No big deal.
Absolutely.
So thanks, Adrian, for coming in.
No problem.
And guys, we'll see you next week right here on Only Comics.